Ballet shoes are a fundamental part of every dancer's gear. Let's take a look at how to choose the best ones possible. First, I'd like to start with where the name soft shoes, or rather ballet shoes, comes from. Dancers in some countries call them lady fingers. This is already a fairly established term, and it comes from this shape. The first ballet shoes used to have a full sole shaped like a ladyfinger biscuit, which is where the name ladyfingers. But now let's move from history back to how to choose the best possible ballet shoes. First, I'd like to draw your attention to the choice of material. You can, of course, choose ballet shoes made from basic canvas. You can choose ones that are made from genuine leather. For example, you can choose whichever you prefer or whichever suits your style best. Ones made from stretch material, and you can even choose ballet shoes made from stretch. These are beautiful materials. Let's go back to all those materials and discuss once again their advantages. So for beginners, in my opinion, you should absolutely, definitely choose soft ballet shoes made from classic canvas. For children, especially those who don't have perfectly or nicely rounded toes, and they, for one reason or another, may find that their toes are not as rounded as others, have a foot shape where one toe is longer and the others are splayed out, I highly recommend stretch materials, because stretch material will adapt to their toes and there won't be any extra space around the toes. However, ballet shoes made from traditional canvas fabric won't properly conform to your foot at all, and those longer toes will lightly and gently press against your foot. And you get this comfortable toe room right here when your toes are relaxed and at ease, spread out sideways. So if your child happens to have a long big toe, I would definitely recommend choosing ballet shoes made from elastic material. But if you've just recently started your ballet lessons, or if you've begun taking classical dance classes, these classic canvas ballet shoes will work well for you. What about other essentials? That would be the sole and its shape. There are two basic types. The first is the split sole and the second is the full sole. As I mentioned, historically, ballet shoes with a full sole were the very first type to be made. They are also recommended for beginners so that young children and beginners have better stability. But that's a matter of opinion. Another viewpoint is that the ballet shoe in particular, using a split sole from the very beginning allows for much better toe pointing, and the dance teacher can definitely see the arch of the foot more clearly. I would absolutely leave that particular decision to the dance teacher. There are schools we've come across where the teachers say that small children should start with a full sole, and there are other schools where the teachers often say that kids really should use carefully chosen ballet shoes with a split sole from a young age. We've covered the types of soles. It's either split or full in terms of the type. Next, if we're talking only about ballet shoes typically have soles made of suede leather. We also offer gymnastic shoes. Gymnastic shoes have a sole specifically designed in the central part made of rubber. Technically, it's a different kind of shoe. We don't really recommend them for ballet or dance classes and on because they are designed for gymnastics. In gymnastics, you need to run up precisely and jump at exactly the right moment during the vault and land accurately. The shoe needs to stop you and keep you in place. They're good for sports where you need to run up and stop precisely, but they're not suitable, for example, for pirouettes. During those, they slow you down, especially on a Mali floor. Ballet shoes with soft suede soles are much better for that. You can turn much more easily in them. Or for slides which are used in dance, this type of ballet shoe is specifically important. But there's one more exception, and that's the folk dancers specifically. Folk dancers often use gymnastic shoes for little kids, especially when teaching them. Both because of the price and also because the technique of the movements is distinctly different in folk dancing, especially as compared to other styles than in traditional classical dance. Since I've mentioned folk dancers, one more thing. Folk dancers prefer soft shoes with full soles because the grip is actually on the heel. In fact, in folk dance, all the steps are done over the heel, whereas in ballet, the step is on the toe. So the walking technique is a bit different, and therefore a different type of sole is suitable for that style of dance. I would also like to point out that up here, if you take a look, these soft shoes already have an elastic band sewn into the edge. It's sewn in tightly, so they wrap around your ankle nicely and keep the ballet shoes securely on your feet. You don't have to tie them at all. Older models of gym shoes, typically from the past, have the elastic band carefully sewn, or rather stitched directly into the shoe, into the hem. The advantage of having the elastic sewn into the hem is that you can shorten it and thus adjust the length of the gym shoe, which is especially useful for small children. If you buy a bigger shoe, you just tie it a bit tighter and the shoe becomes shorter. But there are a few problems with that. You have to tie a knot and then you have to tuck the knot into the ballet shoes. Teachers have a lot of work with small children when the knot comes undone, or they sometimes pull it out, and then mothers come here saying they simply can't get the elastic back in, or that they've lost the elastic and so on. I simply think that actually the advantages of sewn-in elastic are truly much greater indeed. Another thing I'd like to point out is this elastic here, which holds the ballet shoe over the instep. You see on this model it is crossed. For this model, Capezio simply offers these crossed elastics in all sizes from the smallest to the largest, which is an advantage if the children have some of their own performance, so all the children have the same type of soft shoes available from size 29 up to size 43. It's all the same type, really. If we look at another model with a basic, for example, elastic for children, and then the adult models that have a cross type, then in some group choreographies where small children and adults would perform together, it could potentially be a problem if each one of the children have a unique and different type of kind ballet shoes. So that's it for the elastics that go over the top of the head, just like that. Instep. About ballet shoes is their color. They come in brown, sometimes called tan, sometimes even sand, nude, and so on. They are made in classic pink, which some manufacturers call ballet pink. They are typically produced in a shade of white, and also quite often in black. That's simply the basic classification. So if I had to sum it all up, I definitely wouldn't underestimate the choice of ballet shoes, and I would absolutely, most definitely recommend consult with the dance teacher to get their opinion and find how they want the children dressed. It's definitely absolutely best for the whole group to have the same type of ballet shoes, both perfectly matching, in color, in elastic type, and also with classic lace-up and all of that stuff. I definitely really wouldn't buy ballet shoes with extra toe room. This is actually a very common issue we often encounter when typically selling ballet shoes. One toe room. They want the ballet shoes to last at least a year, but please just understand those ballet shoes are consumable items. If you have a conservatory student or a dancer who trains 3 times a week, they definitely won't last a year. A ballet master might have them for as long as 2 months, maybe even a little longer if they are lucky, even less. A small child might be able to use them for longer, maybe even for a year if you choose extra toe space, but in that case the child will have empty space at the front and it will look terrible. And since dance is all about aesthetics, I would not recommend ballet shoes with a lot of toe room. I hope you really find the best option when choosing comfortable soft shoes, carefully and thoughtfully chosen, so that you are truly satisfied, content, and feel at ease. Enjoy dancing.